Just got back from practice. Your legs feel like they belong to someone else. Your coach ran you through sprints until your lungs burned, and now all you want is your bed. You collapse into it, and you are asleep in minutes. Then you wake up. Your eyes are open. You can see the ceiling, the outline of your door, the glow of your phone charging on the nightstand. And you cannot move. Not your arms. Not your legs. Not even your voice, no matter how hard you try to make a sound. For a few seconds, maybe longer, your body simply will not obey you. If this has happened to you, you are not broken, and you are not imagining it. And if you are a competitive athlete, science suggests you may be more likely to experience this than almost anyone else your age. Let's talk about why. This condition has a name: sleep paralysis. It happens when your brain and your body fall out of sync during the transition into or out of REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreaming happens. In 1953, physiologist Nathaniel Kleitman and his graduate student Eugene Aserinsky discovered REM sleep for the first time, identifying the rapid eye movements and brain activity that mark this stage. What researchers later understood is that during REM sleep, your brain deliberately paralyzes most of your skeletal muscles. This is called REM atonia, and it exists for a very good reason. Without it, you would physically act out your dreams. Your body is essentially locked, on purpose, so your mind can wander somewhere your muscles cannot follow. Normally, that lock releases the moment you wake up. But sometimes, your consciousness comes back online just a little too early, while your body is still locked in that dream state paralysis. Your mind is awake. Your muscles have not caught up yet. And your brain, primed by REM sleep to generate vivid, dreamlike imagery, sometimes layers a hallucination on top of the paralysis: an intruder in the room, a shadow pressing on your chest, a presence you cannot explain. Here's the reframe: this is not rare, and it is not supernatural. A 2024 meta-analysis published in the journal Neurology pooled data from 167,133 people across 25 countries and found that roughly 30% of people experience sleep paralysis at least once in their life. That number climbs even higher in specific groups. And one of those groups, it turns out, is college athletes. In 2018, researchers Serena Liu and Michael Grandner at the University of Arizona's Sleep and Health Research Program studied 189 NCAA Division I student athletes. They found that 18% reported sleep paralysis occasionally, and 7% experienced it at least once a week. Nearly a quarter reported hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations, the vivid, dreamlike sensations that occur while falling asleep or waking up. That is the technical term for exactly what you just pictured: waking, aware, and briefly trapped inside your own body. But here's where it gets stranger. Grandner's team didn't just measure how common these episodes were. They measured how they connected to mental health. And even after controlling for how much sleep the athletes got, and how poor or fragmented that sleep was, athletes who experienced sleep paralysis or these dreamlike hallucinations still scored significantly higher on depression measures than athletes who never experienced them. Not a little higher. Consistently, measurably higher, in a dose-dependent pattern. The more frequently the episodes occurred, the higher the depression scores climbed. That should surprise you. The obvious explanation for an athlete having strange sleep symptoms is exhaustion. Grueling practices, early morning weight sessions, road trips, late-night film study. Surely if you just don't get enough sleep, your brain misfires a little more often at the edges of consciousness. And that explanation is partly true. But Grandner's data suggests something more is happening. Even athletes with reasonably good sleep duration and quality were still showing this link between sleep paralysis symptoms and depression. The fatigue wasn't the whole story. So let's reconstruct what a night like this actually looks like for an athlete living through it. You finish a punishing practice around 6 p.m. Dinner is quick, mandatory study hall runs until 9, and by the time you're finally horizontal, your body is running on a sleep debt built up over weeks, not just one night. You fall asleep almost instantly, which sounds healthy, but rapid sleep onset like this is itself a sign your body is compensating for chronic sleep deprivation. Deprived brains often dive into REM sleep faster and more intensely than well-rested ones, a phenomenon researchers call REM rebound. More REM pressure means more opportunities for that fragile handoff between mind and body to misfire. Somewhere in the early morning hours, your brain begins to surface from a REM cycle. Consciousness returns first. The muscle lock, still following orders from a part of your brainstem called the pons, takes a few more seconds to release. In that gap, dream logic can bleed directly into your waking perception. Your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, is still highly active from REM sleep, primed to interpret ambiguous input as danger. So your still dreaming brain, faced with the terrifying sensory situation of being both awake and unable to move, does something remarkably human. It tries to explain the fear. It builds a story. A shape in the corner. A weight on your chest. Something standing over the bed. None of that is your imagination running wild for no reason. It's your fear circuitry, wide awake and unusually sensitive from REM, doing exactly what it evolved to do: make sense of an alarming physical state as fast as possible. And here's the twist that Grandner's research points toward: this experience may not just be a strange nighttime glitch you can shrug off by morning. For some athletes, it may be an early signal, showing up before more obvious depression symptoms do, almost like a canary in the coal mine for a nervous system under more strain than the training log admits. Sleep paralysis and hypnagogic hallucinations were often thought to be relatively harmless and quite rare, Grandner noted when the findings were published, but the data suggested they deserved far more attention than they were getting, especially among young, physically driven populations who are used to pushing through discomfort rather than reporting it. That's the part worth sitting with. Athletes are trained, culturally and literally, to ignore signals from the body. Push through the cramp. Play through the soreness. A strange few seconds of paralysis at 4 a.m. gets filed under weird dream, not possible warning sign, because admitting fatigue, mental or physical, can feel like admitting weakness in a world built around performance. Think about how that mirrors life outside of sports too. How many of us track our steps, our macros, our sleep score on a wearable app, and still wave off the strange, uncomfortable sensations our bodies actually hand us in the middle of the night? We've built an entire culture of optimizing sleep duration while mostly ignoring sleep architecture, the deeper, weirder mechanics of what your brain and body are actually doing to each other while you're unconscious. You don't have to be a Division I athlete to have experienced what we started with tonight. Roughly 3 in 10 people will, at some point. But if you push your body hard, sleep in short, fragmented bursts, and consistently override your own exhaustion to make the next practice, the next study session, the next commitment, science suggests your odds go up, and so does the weight that experience might be quietly carrying with it. So the next time you wake up in the dark, eyes open, ceiling in view, and your body simply refuses to move for those few unbearable seconds, you'll know what's actually happening. Your mind arrived a little early to a body that hasn't finished waking up yet. It isn't a ghost standing in the corner of the room. It's your own overworked, overwhelmed nervous system, wide awake in the dark, quietly asking you to finally pay attention.